The last two Buck Buchanan Award winners came from the SWAC. Florida A&M's Isaiah Land last year, and Southern University's Jordan Lewis before him. Gerald Huggins joins to talk about the strengths of each player and then also who is better. Oh, yeah, it's Locked on HBCU. Play my music.
You are Locked on HBCU, your daily podcast covering HBCU sports. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, family? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked on HBCU podcast, your number one. Daily one-stop shop for everything HBCU athletics, Monday through Friday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And I, of course, am Darian Gray, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, Texas Southern alum and former TSU Herald sports editor. Thank you for going on this journey with me, making Locked on HBCU your first listen of the day every day. And remember, just because the mic cuts off does not mean that the journey's over. It means it's time to follow me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Let's talk. We are here. It is football time. We are here for week 0. And I had the luxury of sitting down with friend of the show, Coach Gerald Huggins, to break down two of the top edge rushers in the SWAC, the past two Buck Buchanan Award winners, Isaiah Land and Jordan Lewis out of FAMU and Southern University, respectfully. We're going to break down both players and then talk about them against each other. And we're going to start off with Isaiah Land. Okay, Coach G, one of the last times that we had you on this show, you gave your top 10 HBCU prospects. Isaiah Land was not on that list. I'm assuming that was because he was in the transfer portal at the time and everything was kind of up in the air. But we know that he's staying at FAMU now. So if you're doing your top 10 HBCU prospects, where does Isaiah land, I guess, for lack of a better term?
Oh, yeah, that's crazy how that worked out. That's
how to sound like Isaiah land. Like
yeah, where does he land? Yeah, got you. But yes, like most of us in the HBC community, we were like, oh man, wow, we lost another one. Because I was sad because I lost, Jonathan Ross from Bowie. And I was like, he was like Ross D2, FCS, FBS, he was in my top 5 edge rusher, defensive lineman anyway going today. He was going to be like a top 15 NFL prospect for me because he was just so decorated. So I was like, okay, lost Ross, at least we got Land, and then boom. I said, oh. So I was a little upset. Not upset. I was just like disappointed. I was like, but you know what? Brother got to do what he got to do. So I'm cool with that. But then when he said he decided to stay, oh, okay, here we go. Come on back then, brother. Come on back. You are back. So Isaiah Land, I'm still configuring my list, but as of right now, I can assure you, Isaiah Land is a top three NFL prospect right now. Top 3, hands down. Not even a question. Top 3. Just based on what he's given us over his years at FAMU, and definitely that immaculate year last year, where he just seemed unblockable. And, a guy like him, he has this freakish kind of athleticism. I know a guy I work with named Coach Rick. He hates when we call good athletes freaks. But it's just fair to say he's about 6'5", pushing by. I think it looked like he's gotten bigger. So I can assume if he gets into that 225, 230, 235 range, it's going to even up his stock even more. And he's just a pure pass rusher. And the only thing, that people want to just see more is, of course, ability to stop the run. But we could talk about that another time. But yes, he is a top 3 NFL prospect for me right now. And I'm pretty sure most people have him pretty high on their list for FCS guys, definitely.
So you talked about a lot of things that people want to see is the run support. He's a thinner frame than some others. So naturally with that frame comes questions about, you're rushing the passer, but how do you do on run support? That's something that Land himself said that he is dedicating his offseason to trying to improve. When you hear that mindset from him, what do you think?
That means he's a guy that wants to get better, and that's all we ask for. Just be better. So even when I'm my players, I'm like, listen, you're a good pass rusher. We know this. You have the moves down. But guess what? The reason that they're passing the ball on you so much is because you're stopping the run. So you want to have some fun, stop the run. Want to have some fun, stop. Now, me personally, I love stopping the run. It was more like listen, you can't move me. Like, I'm not gonna let you move me out my gap.
Right.
But I get the game. You know, it's a passing league. You know, it even was when I was around. But I love to stop the run. So if Land says I'm determined to be, if he just could be, I mean, let's just put this out here. Land was, I think he was top 3 in tackles for loss per game last year.
Right.
I think number 1 was Jablonski Green Jr. from South Carolina State. So out of all all D1, I think Land was top, maybe he was 4 or 5 or top 3, one of those. So he has the ability just off the straight athleticism. But when you look on the tape, you know, you can see he has the length, but it's just the power that comes with it.
Right.
But I've seen him in the off season and his workouts and stuff like that. I mean, I saw him lifting up 315 with the cleans or whatever drill he was doing. It looked like it was working. And he's bulking up. He looks good. I'm not gonna lie. He looks really good. I think if he could get into the season, you know, you lose weight during the season, but they have a pretty good conditioning program there. They strength conditioning and nutrition program there. So you 6'5", if he can get to about 240, and then he shows on top of the length, he already has the length to be able to defeat multiple blocks. He has the quickness to defeat multiple blocks. And once he gets in the backfield, more than likely, he's more athletic than the quarterback and maybe more athletic than the running back as well. So if he says he's going to dedicate himself to being a top run defender, then the sky's the limit for him because we already have the tape of him being a really good pass rusher.
So when you're talking about that immaculate season, the tape of him being a really good pass rusher, those are a couple of things or a couple of ways that you yourself just described his past season. How do you build upon that? You had a very high of being the best defender in the FCS. How do you build on that now?
The number one thing, well, there's 2 things. One, we already spoke about run support. But number 2, the biggest thing for me is it's about a lot of the edge guys in the FCS have to do this. They have to drop back in coverage. Like their coaches have to find a way to mix in some coverages, some zone blitz schemes where he drops back into nothing crazy, just drop into your hook, your flat route, something like that. Just curl flat, just to show that you can break. You could run up the field full speed, pretend you're about to pass rush, and then you just drop back, boom, drop that upfield foot, drop back into your coverage. And if he could just show that he's comfortable, I mean, what else do they want to see from a guy that's 6'5", probably push 235, 240? And then at the end of the day, just like when college coaches look at high school kids, they're like, listen, we just want to see if you could if you're mobile, if you could move around. If you're 6'5", they just want to see if we're going to get you bigger. We're going to get you stronger. We just want to see if you're able to do these little things right here. If you're able to, you have fluid hips to be able to move, if your feet are quick, you have good hands. He has all that. So if Coach Willie, if you're listening, brother, Brother Simmons, if you're listening, somebody listen to me. Listen to me. Look, me, Coach G, Brooklyn. Drop Isaiah Land into coverage. At least give him 20%. Just 20%. Just throw him. Just throw it around. Just throw it out there. Let one of your linebackers come. A little zone blitz, make him loop around, go to the C gap, and let him drop back into the deep third. That's crazy. Don't do deep third. That's crazy. That's
right. No,
but let's just do your hooks. Just do your hook and curl. Hook, curl, flat. They go hook, curl, flat. You know what I'm saying? So I think if he could add that dimension to his game, which I'm pretty sure won't be hard for him to do, but he's athletic. He's a freak athlete. I think he was voted like one of the top freakish athletes in the country. I think I saw some lists that came out not too long ago. So he can do it. Just give him the opportunity to. And I'm pretty sure every D lineman thinks they could cover.
Yeah, they can't all.
Every D lineman thinks they're running back, and everybody thinks they can cover. No, it's not that simple. But he has all the tools to be able to, and I'm hoping that they're maturing him in that aspect because the run stopping is going to come. Run stopping is a lot of that is just want to. You got to just want to just be like, oh, bro, you're not knocking me out my gap. I'm going to squeeze this B gap and make the running back bounce to me. I'm going to make the play. That's what his mentality has to be, which I'm sure he'll get that. Pass rushing, he doesn't believe anybody can block him. And that's how you should feel because you're a better athlete than everybody on the field and you're quicker, you're fast. That's just how it works. And then when it comes to, dropping back in coverage, a little bit of training goes into that as well. But sometimes it's like, listen, just turn, go about 5 yards and look back at the quarterback, and just wait. And look and see and look and just react like you're known to do as a defensive lineman. We're known to react. We don't think, we react.
Right.
And
exactly. And that's
really good.
something for us scouting when we're talking about going into the NFL. So I love that. Before we jump into Jordan Lewis, let's talk about BetOnline because they have you covered this season with more odds, props, and lines than ever before. And not only do they have you covered with more of them, they have you covered with the best of each and every one of them. My favorite feature about BetOnline is the fact that they are not afraid to educate you. And when you get educated, you actually know a little bit more about what's going on with the games that you're betting on, with the players that you're putting money down on. And when you know more, you're more likely to win. So in a BetOnline is helping you win. Why would you not want to go somewhere like that? BetOnline has the season odds or how many the over under on the wins. They have who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's going to win each division. They have player props as well. Go to BetOnline for all of your NFL season needs, and it goes to collegiate as well. You can bet on the Heisman. You can bet on each game. This is big time. They are versatile in addition to being the fastest and easiest way to wage on all of your favorite sports. Bet online where the game starts. As we keep rolling on today's episode of Locked on HBCU, I thank you for making us your first listen of the day every day. And make sure you are checking out the Ultimate College Football Preview. It is a 7-episode series that has college insiders, local team insiders, and then also the Odyssey college football experts. Now, this is everything you could possibly need to know about the college football season all in one spot. Make sure you are searching Ultimate College Football Preview on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Now, we're here to talk about Southern University's Jordan Lewis. Why is Gerald Huggins confident we're going to get the good Jordan Lewis this year? Moving towards Jordan Lewis, to me, he's had a little bit of variance within his production season by season. Why do you believe that we're going to get the dominant Jordan Lewis in 2022?
2 reasons. One, he has a really good defensive line coach. Really
Okay.
good defensive line coach. 2, and I mean his defensive line coach might be the best in the FCS, possibly. Like he produced Southern defensive line. They can move around a lot. They move around a lot, and they just have this. What is it? They're not huge guys for the most part. They're not huge guys, but there's the ability. I can see what he wants to do with them because everywhere he's been, he seems to have these really shifty defensive linemen that have really good feet and they're really explosive. So I'm going to attribute that to him. And I saw he trains. He trains with a lot of defensive linemen as well down there in Louisiana. So he got it. That's his thing. So what I would say, that's the number one. Number 2, he has help. Like he has people that can draw attention, as we know. The best defensive lineman in the FCS just so happened to transfer to Southern. So now my guy listen, he's not the only guy people looking at anymore. Now you have to double, we all know we're talking about Dumas. You have to double him. Have to. So now if we could just get a, Cam Peterson, who's also another good interior guy, and I think Jalen Ivey's their edge guy, I believe, on the other side. If they could command some sort of, double teams, then that means we get one-on-ones all day with Jordan Lewis. We might be able to prevent, any chip block coming his way or anything like that, or be able to hold that tight end and make him chip him as well. I believe if Jordan Lewis could just work on counters, his counters is like the one flaw of his game. He is so fast, he believes he could beat you around the corner every time. Because people think that Isaiah Land is a freak athlete. I believe Lewis was a hurdler. I believe he's a hurdler. I know he's a track guy. I believe he was a hurdler, though. But he's another guy that is just so freakishly athletically gifted. He's like, listen, there's no way this offensive lineman can block me. So I'm just going to run past him. Now, we all know playing defensive line, or all my defensive linemen, that doesn't always work. So for a guy like him, if he continues to get bigger, there's another thing we give him, another one getting bigger. He has a frame. He could fill that frame out to be 225, 230. He doesn't have to be huge. But if he just has the frame, because he has a violent, he's a very violent guy when he plays. Very violent. He throws his body around. I like that from him. For a smaller guy, he throws his body around. That's good. But when it comes to his pass rush, and if he could get some great counters and he could surprise people with some speed to power, him and Land will be fighting for that number one spot when it comes to sacks, But there's some other guys, of course. But physically, the tools alone, those two guys are just so physically gifted on the edge. And Lewis counters, remember this? Counters. He had
counters.
Like the offensive linemen have to open up their hip and pretty much chase this man up the field. So once you do that, now you have your counters. You can fall back inside. You can spin back inside. You can hump. You can do the hump move, a good old Reggie White hump move where you just like get out of the way. There's so many moves he could do. Even if he gets caught up when he's trying to do his speed rush, where he just pretty much just grabs I call him grab. He grab the grass and just dip under the punch. If he can do that, if it doesn't work, then throw that rip and clear the rip. You can just do so many different things. So I just think with him, getting better with his hands on the pass rush because he's just so fast. He just wants to run by. But once he works those counters, and then he's also another guy that could, he dropped back in coverage a few times last year. It looked, right. I can tell he was working on it. It didn't look as, fluid. But guess what? He's an athlete. So once you teach him how to do it correctly, it's going to look beautiful. So I'm pretty sure they're going to drop him back in coverage as well because, coaches do care about their guys' draft stock. Not all coaches are like, set in their ways where you got to do it this way. I don't care about it. And coaches know that I have Jordan Lewis. I have a guy that can go to the league, and I have a guy that's going to play 3-4 outside back at next level. That's what he's going to be. So drop him back and cover some more. They already started last year, and I'm pretty sure they're going to work even more. So they're primed to have, those two are very much primed to have really good years if they just work on those two things that they pretty much already know they have to work on.
Now, you mentioned Jason Dumas in there. How do they, or you know what? I ain't going to ask you that. Who has the greater impact on who? Is Lewis more impactful on Dumas, or is Dumas more impactful on Lewis?
As a defensive line guy, I like to say, I think if you can get pressure up the middle,
right,
that is devastating for a passing game.
100%.
I just because the pocket just gets real tight in there if you just knocking guys back, and he's strong. We saw him. He's done deadlift probably 600, bench 400, clean 400. Like this guy squat 600. He's strong. Low center of gravity. I'm gonna give him 5'11". That's fine because Aaron Donald ain't tall either. So I'm gonna give him 5'11", and he's about 290, probably 290 plus. He's strong. And he's knocking people backwards. He's pushing the pocket. So me personally, I think his ability to push the pocket only means that, hey, guess who's coming around the edge? Guess who's coming? Guess who's going to meet you? So you knock the quarterback back. The quarterback has to fall back and look for a read, and guess who's coming on the edge? Good old Joe.
I can take that.
Yeah.
I can take that. Now, this is what you've been waiting for. We talked about Jordan Lewis in the last segment. We talked about Isaiah Land to start the show. Now it's time for them to go toe-to-toe, and let's see who Gerald Huggins thinks is the best edge rusher in the SWAC. Now, let's compare the two. We've talked about Land individually. We talked about Lewis individually. We have two former Buck Buchanan Award winners. This is truly a neck-and-neck conversation. Now, I'm assuming you still have Jordan Lewis as your top player. What gives Lewis the edge over Land?
Well, sorry to break it to you, brother, but my list has changed.
Okay. Okay, then what has Land over Lewis?
Land has taken over the top spot over Lewis as my favorite edge rusher.
Okay. This was new for the record, guys. Not only was Land not in the top 10 because he was in the transfer portal, we talked about it at the time. And even if he had been there, Land would have been under Lewis. That's why I'm asking this. Yeah. But like he said, things have changed, right? Mm-hmm. This wasn't just an assumption here, but I can't. Let me shut up. Let me shut up and let you do what you do. What changed?
For me, I just think Land has the bigger upside just because of his height, and I think he might also be bigger. And I just think when it comes to pass rushing, he's a more technical sound pass rusher. Like Land has more moves. He has more in his arsenal than Lewis does. Now,
Okay.
is Lewis faster? For sure.
Okay.
Lewis his get off is top tier get off. Both of them have really good get off, but Lewis has a really top tier get off. So I just think that the combination of Land actually having some counters, a little bit more, have some more counters than he does, and his primary moves are a little more fluid than Lewis. Land has the frame to be able to take on more run blocks if he has to. Lewis is even. I think Lewis is smaller than Land. Not by much. He's just a little slighter frame than the guy, and I just think the arm length is a big thing for me. Land has. He can scratch his knees standing up. Land has long arms. You could tell his punch is a little more violent. So I think his upside of being a run defender is higher than Lewis. Now Lewis could be a better pass rusher once he gets those counters down because his speed is just pretty much unmatched for an offensive tackle to have to deal with that 30 times a game. Good luck. But I just think size-wise, Land has an edge. Run stopping-wise, I think Land has a higher ceiling. And pass rushing-wise, currently Land is a better pass rusher, but Lewis has more upside to be a better pass rusher just due to how fast and how athletic he is, gifted he is. So it's not here. It's not like this. It's literally like here. Like it's not far. So I don't want
well,
just drop them.
Here goes the question though. So Lewis was ahead of Land. Now it's swapped. How does Lewis regain that spot?
Well, the formula was already starting last year.
Okay.
If he could drop back in the coverage and look fluid and actually disrupt the passing game in the back end, if they decide not to do it for Land, but Lewis continues to drop back in the coverage, that's gonna be. That's what they want. They want a guy that could drop into his zones, even if he has to. Even if they listen. If the running back comes out the backfield, that's your guy. So even if the running back runs a real wheel route one time and Lewis is just there, he got in the hip, he looks back, he gets knocked the ball. Okay. So if that dimension of his game, improves and he can show that he's a stout run defender, because he has the violence. It's just like it's more of just a. Let's call it. He's just not huge. He's not a big guy. So he just shows that strength against the run. Yeah, listen. So if he shows the pass coverage skills, if he improves on his run game, and then he brings some counters, it'll be hard for me to put Land ahead of him if Lewis could do all those. It's just hard because his peak is so high. He has a very high. He could peak so high. Both of them can, but if Lewis get those things together, man, they might be able to put him in the. They might be able to James Houston. He could be a James Houston kind of listen.
That'll be interesting.
Can you play a 4-3 Will? Can you play a 4-3 Sam? You know what I'm saying? It's possible. Okay. Sky's the limit for Lewis. Both of them.
You were right. You were right about Houston, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, well,
right about Houston. Hey. All right. All right. We gonna leave that one. All right.
Just saying.
You got that one. I gotta tip my imaginary cap to you. Before we get out of here, you've talked about how throughout this, Isaiah Land is the more sophisticated pass rusher. Yes, but how do these guys win? Is it the same way? Is it take out the counters? If they're going with their primary plan, what is Land's primary plan versus Lewis's primary plan?
Lewis's primary plan is very simple. I'm faster than you. There's a spot. So with speed rushes, they pick a spot. Roughly about 3 to 5 yards in the backfield. That's a spot. And when they get to that spot, they have to bend. So you burst the bubble. I call it a bubble with the forehead and the fingertips are off the line. That's the bubble. Once you burst that bubble and you get to that spot, that's when you start bending. And Lewis doesn't believe any offensive tackle can cut him off and get to that spot.
Right. Okay.
Listen, he gets there and he just he drops that shoulder and he bends. He starts to bend. Now, do I think his bend is better than Land? For sure.
Okay.
Crazy bend. Lewis has a crazy bend. But now on the other hand, Land is like, listen, I can speed rush you. I can speed the power you. Or I can just work that shoulder and just wait for you to shoot them hands out. So he has long arms, so he could give a nice stab. And once he stabs the shoulder, offensive lineman naturally has to shoot his hands back. He's not going to let a man punch you. So then he has the long arms to knock it away. He had a club rip move, or club swipe, He had the club rip, he had the double swipe, he had the club with an arm over. He could do so many different things. I'm waiting for him to do a little bit more spinning if he can. It wouldn't hurt to throw in this game. Like, you don't want to run past quarterback depth. So once you get to quarterback depth, like I said, you can fall inside with an inside chop down, something like that. Or if you spin back, he has the strength in the long arms to be able to be a long arm demon. Long arm could be a very devastating move. I know Rashawn Gary from the Packers, he has a great long arm. Khalil Mack has a great long arm, but those are really big, strong guys. But I don't think their arms are as long as Land. Land has, like I said, freakishly long arms. So you could be able to do the long arms. You can speed the power guys. I just say Land just needs to one play. Just be like, listen, y'all think I'm small? Okay, I'm gonna start to bowl you right into your chest. Like, that's what he gonna come off so fast, and he gonna just chop them feet, and he's gonna just boom. I just want
put him on notice.
Yeah, listen. I just want to see him do it one time. That North Carolina game, I want him to just do it one time, just to say, yo, I'm not small. Do not call me small. This is Big Mon over here, Big Montana. Okay, so that's how I want him to come. So Land has different plans he can go with, that's why right now I'll put him ahead of Lewis. But Lewis's plan is not a bad plan.
Right.
He needs a backup plan.
Right. Yeah. He needs multiple. G, I appreciate you, my guy. Always come in here breaking down some defensive linemen. I might have to come up with some more defensive linemen for you to break down just because you do it so eloquently. I can't do it like you. That's why I got to bring you all here. But I appreciate you for taking the time and coming on here every single time that you do. Until the next time, my guy, take care.
All love, man. All love.
Much appreciation to Coach G. Every time I call him, he comes through and he delivers. And it's a learning experience for me as well. So I appreciate that from him. And I appreciate you for making us your first listen of the day. Every day as the week goes on, we are far from finished with our FAMU content. Of course, it culminates in their game versus North Carolina, but we have a breakdown on how Marquise Bell, former Rattler, is now looking in Cowboys camp. And then we're also going to do another comparison, but this time with B.J. Bowler and former South Carolina State cornerback Jacoby Durant. Let's see how these undersized corners compare to each other. For your second listen of the day, make sure you're checking out our conference shows like Locked On ACC, which North Carolina does belong to. So you might see some HBCU content on there. So make sure you're checking out our conference shows just like that. In the meantime, in between time, if you're looking for me, you can find me on Twitter at South Exclusives. Until the next time that we hear each other, family, take care, stay blessed. Peace.